So let me do that right now. Okay. So yeah, so definitely these tips and advice can definitely help no matter where you're graduating from, if it's 4 year or graduate school. So I want to thank everyone for attending. So I feel like most of you all know who I am, but if you don't, my name is Desiree Mcneil. Gender pronouns are she, her, hers. I graduated with my bachelor's in psychology. I first went to a community college. I went to Diablo Valley College, and then I transferred to UC San Diego to finish up my last 2 years of my undergrad. And I graduated with a BA in psychology. And then I'm here currently at Lurie College pursuing my master's in counseling and guidance. And I'm currently working here at Lurie College Student Success Center as a graduate student assistant. So if you guys have any questions about anything about this college and what goes on, I can help you. Definitely know a few things. So that's a little bit about me, and my expected graduation date is next fall. So I will graduate in December of 2022. And yes, I'm gonna be a fall graduate. So, but before we really get started with the workshop and kind of get into some questions with our special guest, I kind of want to do a little icebreaker. I thought it would be really kind of nice and kind of see we're all in this field of education of some sort, if it's teaching, if it's counseling or guidance, or somewhere in the counseling field and or teaching field. And I wanted everyone to kind of introduce themselves, say their name, and then their gender pronouns, and then what they wanted to be when they were younger. And I always love to hear what people wanted to be when they were younger, and then of course like where they're at now. So yeah, and we could popcorn too. So I can go first. I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger. Oh, I already introduced myself, but I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger. I don't know why, because I didn't have any pets. And I think that's why I wanted to be a veterinarian, because I didn't have no pets. My mom was like, no dog, no cat, no nothing. So I think that sparked my interest. And also I was obsessed with the Nintendo DS game with the dogs. I don't know if you guys remember that. I was like, "Ooh, look at my dog! Gotta check on my dogs." And I was always opening my Nintendo DS to see if they were good and stuff. So I think that's where I kind of sparked interest of wanting to be a veterinarian. But of course, here I am now. I don't want to be a veterinarian. Not good at math or science. Definitely can't see myself in that field. But that's my little where I wanted to do when I was younger. And I'll popcorn to our special guest. Go ahead, Anna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ana Isabel Perez, pronouns she, her. When I was younger, I think I wanted to be a cosmetologist for a long time. And then things changed a lot when I was in high school. And now I'm a high school advisor at a nonprofit in San Francisco. So that's kind of how my trajectory went. And then I'll pass it on to Brianna.
Hi, yes. Let's see. Yeah. My name is Brianna. I I guess I kind of wanted to be an elementary teacher since elementary, so that's my field right now.
And then Brianna, you can popcorn to either Cheyenne or Lydia.
Cheyenne.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. My name is Cheyenne. My pronouns are she, her. And when I was younger, I wanted to be a marine biologist so badly. My mom put me in like 3 different camps to like get me ready. But currently I'm trying to, and I say trying because I think this is going to be a hard thing to accomplish, but I want to be a researcher in child development. So we'll see how it goes. Lydia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lydia Arce, or Lydia Arce, however you want to say my name. I don't have a preference. She, her pronouns. let's see. Ooh, when I was younger, I don't really remember what I wanted to be. I think something in traveling, like a travel photographer, or I remember really wanting to go into human relations. So something I think I was wanting to do something relating to traveling, which I think is interesting to reflect on. And yeah, happy to be
Yeah.
here.
Yes. Thank you, Lydia. Yeah, I feel like at one point I wanted to be a photographer too. I feel like I want to do a lot of things still. The sky's the limit. Well, thank you all for sharing. That was a little icebreaker to kind of get us going for the day. But I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to our special guest, Anna. Go ahead, Anna, introduce yourself, and give us a little background about yourself.
Sure. So I'm gonna bear y'all not reading everything word for word, but I was born in Jalisco, Mexico. I am the first person and the only person actually in my immediate family to pursue a college degree. So I'm first gen. I graduated from UC Davis in 2016 with a bachelor's degree in Chicano studies and sociology. And then right after that, I went to San Jose State University for an MA in Chicano studies. I graduated in 2020 after taking a little bit of a break from there. And then I've worked in the field of higher education, particularly when I was at San Jose State. I worked with different resource centers. And I've also done college asset access work for a couple of years. So combined, it's probably like a little bit over 5. I'm just really passionate about helping other first-gen students or just students of color in general to find post-secondary path of their choice, but also figuring out like what they want to do as their next step. I also, when I was in grad school, I worked at an immigration law firm in San Jose. So I was really able to help families adjust their status or just understand very complex situations as it related to immigration. In my free time, I like to do my makeup and then spend lots of quality time with my family and friends and also my job.
So thank you, Anna, for sharing. What's so great about Anna is that we actually work together at another nonprofit, which is, I love Richmond Promise, but it's called, that nonprofit was called Richmond Promise, based in Richmond, California. And she worked on the college access side. I worked on the college success side. And so yeah, we both connected, or we both worked there for, I don't know, maybe a year or so. I feel like it went by really fast. But yeah,
It
we're
was
both.
pretty short because I was only there for half your term.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's true. So it wasn't long, but it was good. It was good. But yeah, well, she worked on the access side. I worked on the college success side. And so what's so great about Anna, she has a background in multiple things, working at a college in different student success centers, and then working with different nonprofits currently now, at a nonprofit, and then of course her experience with working at a law firm. So I thought she would be a great guest, to kind of give us some insight into what life has been, navigating life after graduate school. And so I'm going to ask you some questions, and then I would love if y'all have any specific questions for Anna. Feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat, and we can then she can answer those questions after, and then I have some few other tips and tricks for the remaining of the workshop, and then we'll close it up. So Anna, thank you. And I have a question. What was it like, or when did you start kind of the job process or job searching process, as a graduate student? Did you start it your last semester, or did you just start the job search process after you graduated? I kind of wanted to know. I think that would be a good kind of, how did you do that for yourself?
Yeah, so I essentially started my last semester. So a little bit about me, I took a big break, like a year and a half, because I was gonna do I was gonna do a project, which ended up not happening. So I started looking in the spring of 2019 when I was gonna walk the stage and everything, started looking for jobs. And I knew I had my job as a graduate assistant till the end of June. I mean, the end of July. So I knew I had, work till then. So it wasn't like I was super pressed to find a job right away. At this point, I was still living in San Jose. During that time, I decided that I wanted to move back home to the Bay Area or to the East Bay. So I was looking for more jobs that were in this area. That's actually how I came across the Richmond Promise. I actually have a friend who works there. I didn't even know this till after I started looking for stuff. Although it was an AmeriCorps Vista position, and it was just like a year of service, I was still interested and open to do that because it was something I was interested in. I had more experience with higher education than I did with college access. So I wanted something that was going to help me seamless transition into that, have a little bit more support, and then just kind of figure it out. The organization that we were working for was working with students throughout the county, and it was literally working with students to the schools that I went, like to the high school that I went to school at, and also all the neighboring schools. So it was just kind of like coming back home, and it brought everything kind of full circle for me. I'm not gonna lie, the job search was a little bit difficult to try to find a job, especially living in such a high cost area as the Bay Area can be. So that was that. And then I stayed at the Richmond Promise for a year and a half. So I extended my year of service to a year and a half instead of 1 year. This was like peak pandemic, fall 2020, when I actually finished my degree. And that's when I started looking for jobs. It was really difficult because I was looking for a couple of months. And then, I took a couple of breaks in between. But again, that's because I still had the cushion of being at the Richmond Promise. And then in December, I started getting interviews for different positions. And then I got hired and started working for my current job in January. So finding that job was not too difficult in the sense of, like they had a transition, like a pretty quick turnover. But it just in general, it was pretty difficult to do that. I relied on like LinkedIn. I even splurge on the premium because I was like, I need all the help that I can get at this point.
Yeah.
I also was able to use some of my PD funding to work with somebody who helps folks with interviews or just communication and public speaking. So that was really great to invest in myself and really, hone in those skills and make sure I was ready. I know it's super cliche to say this, but like with interviews, like practice makes perfect. So the more you kind of interview, the better you get at it, especially with those questions like, tell me about yourself, or, you kind of already like know yourself really well, and it just gets better. So that's kind of how I was. I hope I didn't do like a rant or turn around too much.
No, I think you hit a lot of good points, and I'm going to also kind of talk about that a little later on in the presentation. Some folks couldn't make it today. Some professionals I worked with or I knew who were recent grad students, that they gave me some great tips and advice that I put in this presentation. I think are good takeaways. And I think what you mentioned about, the job process is a process. Looking for a job is a job. And I think it's important that, you take time and you have like a timeline. And you kind of did what was best for you. You took a break. Okay, I want to extend my service as I continue to look for another job. And I think LinkedIn, I always hear folks, and it's true, I'm currently doing it myself. I always do it, but networking is key. And LinkedIn is a great resource to looking for jobs, networking with people in the field that you're interested in. So that's a great point that you mentioned. And no, yeah, that was really good. So no, you answered it. And so we have a question from Lydia. I'll go ahead and read it. What advice do you have when we are reaching roadblocks and feeling discouraged, / lack of motivation with the job searching process? That's a great question.
That is a great question. I don't have an exact thing because I was also going through the motions during that time. It is very discouraging when you go to the first, second, or third interview, however many interviews they give you, and then at the end you hear you didn't get the job. I think giving yourself grace through this process, and not comparing yourself to others. I know it can be really difficult to see like your colleagues or other people kind of like getting and landing these really great jobs from the get-go. But I think it's just giving yourself that time. If you have the financial means, I think outsourcing some of those things, getting that advice from people who are professionals who do this kind of work can be a great thing. But even if you don't have those financial resources, I think tapping into your other networks, right? Like if you have friends who are in similar fields to help you with your resume, your cover letter, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think having a great support system, that can be your friends, that can be whatever you decide that to be, it's going to be really good. And for me, if you're also able to take breaks in between, because you don't want to burn yourself out to the point where when you start a new job, you already feel burnt out, you know? So I think it's just giving yourself really like grace and talking to other people in the process. I also was at the point where I knew that I wanted to get a job in my field and something very particular to what I was doing, that I was willing to get another job like at a coffee shop or something that I didn't have to like train too much for or anything. In the midst of finding the job for me. But I made that decision pretty early on. And I think that also gave me some sort of like, I don't know, I just felt good about it because I knew that I had kind of like a backup plan in case those things didn't work. But that doesn't mean everybody has to do it. It's just you have to do what, you know, it works with you. When you can do that. I also had a little bit more flexibility because I lived with my parents at the time. So I knew that if I wasn't able to pay like some of my bills or helping with rent, like that was still something that was easy for me to manage. But I know I wouldn't have been able to do this or give myself as much grace if I was still living on my own.
And I think that that's a great advice. Great question, Lydia. And I think that's great advice, Anna. I think also, like you mentioned, you don't want to burn yourself out during the job process, the job search and job application and whole job process of the searching and applying and then interviewing for jobs. You don't want to burn yourself out. And I have heard a lot of folks tell me and from other people experience to take your time when it comes to applying for jobs and take those breaks. Some people, they would just take a whole month. They're like, I'm applying to jobs, and they're like, okay, I'm burnt out. I'm going to take the next month to kind of see what happens with those jobs that I did apply for before I even go in and apply to a whole bunch of other jobs. Because it's like, okay, interview after interview after interview. So that's a great question. Brianna, have a question is, how was the process of getting into graduate school and any advice? Brianna is actually she's one of our undergraduate students here at Lurie College, but she also is interested in graduate school. So any advice that you can give her, that would be great.
Of course. Thank you for that question. I decided that I wanted to go to grad school right after college, undergrad. So my program actually allowed us to do our applications a little bit later than most of the schools. So I applied by April and it was to start in August. So it was a pretty close turnaround. I didn't have to do this, the GRE, and I actually just looked for programs that did not require the GRE.
Likewise.
I put all my eggs in one basket. I just applied to Chicano Studies. At that point, it was Mexican American Studies at San Jose State. But I think that if I were to kind of like look back at it, I probably would have done a little bit more research and done a lot of other schools too. My trajectory at the beginning was very different. This kind of touches into the next question too. I wanted to get my PhD. So my goal was to finish my undergrad, get my bachelor's degree, do my master's degree, and then go to either a sociology program, Chicano Studies, or education after for my PhD. I soon realized that I was really burnt out. And honestly, maybe having a break from undergrad to graduate school would have been the best choice for me. You do have to have a different kind of, I feel like, willpower to kind of go back to school. Like you have to keep that mind to yourself. And either have a buddy or somebody who's your accountability partner to make sure that if that is something that you want to do, that is something you continue to do. I decided that I don't want to pursue a PhD anymore, at least not at the moment. I've considered other doctorate programs like EDDs and stuff like that. But I did have like a spreadsheet with like all of the requirements. I had the links, like it was just kind of doing a lot of that research beforehand. So when I did have the time to write or to do that stuff, like I could work on it. That included, like the personal statements. Some places will ask you for a writing sample, right? So you can use like a previous paper that you've done and then just do like tweaks to it. So that's what I did. And it was just like going to other programs. I was also part of a program at UC Davis that helped me getting into grad school. I was paired with a graduate student and I was able to hear a lot from her and her experience. She was a PhD student at that moment. But I think it's just figuring out what it is that you want to do. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Brianna, but I know you mentioned you want to be a teacher. I think those do happen to have a little bit more of that clear focus of going into like a teaching credential or going to a teaching credential - master's degree.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think she had to leave a little early. But Cheyenne, and what you I think she kind of answered it, but Cheyenne's like, yeah, because she's thinking about pursuing a PhD. How can I find positions or organizations that align with my ultimate career goal that I qualify for? And that makes sense, Cheyenne.
So I actually, I was a research assistant when I was in undergrad. So it's maybe finding like a professor or somebody who can help you with that. Are you currently in grad school or are you doing your undergrad?
I'm in grad school.
Okay, grad school. So maybe just finding like a professor to kind of do that. I know sometimes they do want like folks to do some of that more like tedious work that it comes when doing research. So if you know of any professor or any like small like nonprofits and stuff, maybe even like grant writing or just anything that kind of really hones into those skills for you, I think that might be a great thing to do. Not sure exactly what field. I'm sure you're probably in education, but I know folks who have done like STEM have gone into like hospitals and done some of that research stuff. So I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. Financial wise, I'm not sure how much they pay, but I do think that could be a great way for you to do and also figure out if that's something that you want to do. So there is opportunities out there. You can potentially look at, I know sometimes they even have some for just students, and then I'm not sure what year are you in?
This is my first year, so I'm in the second.
Okay. There is also I can't remember the program, but they have there's a program where if you pitch a really good like idea for your own research, you can actually get funding to do that. So even having that research stuff for you, that could be great. I applied for it, didn't get it, but I think if you start working on stuff now, that could be a really great opportunity to do that, or even look at R1 institutions. So Research 1 institutions, UCs are all R1 institutions, and any of the other colleges. And folks usually want like a graduate assistant to help them with that. And that can really get you like the foot in the door as you're getting guidance before you kind of go on your own. And again, I could talk about this for days.
Well, yeah, I was also going to add,
Sorry, I was just going to say it's funny that you mentioned that scholarship because I wanted to apply for it, but I reached out to my advisor and I didn't get a response. So I never got in touch with a faculty member, and the application's due tomorrow. So
it's fine. Normally they won't even get you in your first year. So it's okay if you wait a little bit longer.
Wait a little bit longer.
You actually have to do it in your first year because the cohort that's graduating this year, they can't do it because they won't be here.
Right, because it's only a 2-year program. That makes sense.
Well, so I'm actually on the committee that goes over the proposals. And there are some proposals that are being submitted by faculty, and in their budget, they're asking like to fund research assistants. So maybe there's a possibility that if you can't submit an application by tomorrow, like at least you could reach out to faculty to see if anybody's looking for research assistants, and those positions are typically paid. So that's another idea.
That you just made my my whole week because I was so worried about that. So I'll definitely send an email out to some faculty and see if I can get on
Yeah.
that.
Awesome. Look at us helping each other out.
But yeah,
Love
it's
that.
always better to have like the guidance from a faculty because I know research can be very intimidating. And that just kind of gets your foot in the door, you know?
Right.
It's just a great way to get some skills.
Yes. Love
Yeah,
that.
and I just wanted to just piggyback of what Anna was saying. I like in the past 2 years have worked on a grant affiliated with my community college, and that has been also like a really great way to learn about the qualitative and quantitative skills of things. Another thing is like most all colleges, either 2 year or 4 year, have like an institutional effectiveness department, right? And that's basically what they do is they look at the data, retention, success of the students and stuff like that. And maybe there's a way that you could like ask for an internship through one of those departments.
Yes, definitely. I love that. And
Thank
Lydia, maybe you can put your email, and then maybe Cheyenne can reach out to you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, if you have
anytime.
any questions. Awesome. I love that. I think I'm not one for research, but I'm trying. But I'm not. Research is one thing I cannot do. Or just not my passion, I guess you can say. It's probably why I don't really like 289 that much. But no, I think this is great, and I think that it's better to kind of plan ahead. And I think another, kind of leading into a little bit about like networking. I think also I have found that like LinkedIn has been a great way to network with other professionals. And like Anna said, sometimes a lot of like UCs are great. They're always looking for research assistants. I'm always seeing some type of UCLA is always doing like looking for research assistants, Davis. So, I always tell people, and I can't stress this enough, just mentioning you all probably know this, but LinkedIn is just a great way to network with other professionals and to stay in contact with other folks that you used to work with and current classmates. Because a lot of folks will see your profile and be like, they'll reach out to you and say, hey, you never know, you might get a job offer just because someone like your saw your LinkedIn profile. And so I think it's important to really take advantage of LinkedIn. Like Anna said, she used LinkedIn Premium. They gave me a 1 month free, so I took advantage of that like literally last night. I said, okay. And also join like alumni associations and networks. Also join like, I know there's like associations of counseling, association of student affairs and higher education. I'm part of NASPA, which has been like a game changer for me. So it's just really important that you use the platforms that are easy accessible for you and you're looking for your job search. And then another professional kind of gave me some tips here about job search because you know she was once a graduate student and she was looking for jobs, and so she kind of told me, start browsing if you're not applying yet, see what's out there, read up on industries and work trends and find out what's going on in the world so you can kind of figure out, okay, well, what is the work trends and what's the pay and all this, and make additional connections, be open to all different type of work. And I think even though I'm not graduating until next semester, I've already reached out to folks. I'm already in networking and connection with folks to kind of help me get my resume, get everything in order before I start applying. And then some salary tips, I think, and then Anna, you can also add into any tips about salary or whatever. But research salary, find out what is a new grad is paid versus someone with years of experience. Be okay with there being a potential wiggle room at first because you might not have all the experience off the bat, but I think it's key. I always try to tell myself not just look at the pay, but also look at the benefits that they're offering. And I don't know if you have anything to add when it comes to salary or how you kind of approach that, or did you have to negotiate your salary with your employer? How was that for you?
Yeah, one tip I would definitely give y'all: always, always, always negotiate your salary. And from what I've learned, the first person who gives a number is the one who loses. So if you can avoid that question, like, I am looking for just a great fit, I would be more than willing to look at your overall package. You can ask them, oh, so what kind of budget do you have for this position? Then you give them the point to do that for you. The one thing with negotiating salaries, you are taking a risk, right? Because they can always be like, actually, we're not going to give you this and we don't want you to move forward. But I think there's been research done that women primarily oftentimes lose out on a lot of funding because they don't negotiate, especially women of color. So remember your worth and then add some tax to that.
Okay. Wait a minute, period. Because that's how I feel. I said, that was my experience. Okay. And I think that's so key because I recently was last or 2 months ago in a NASPA meeting, and some Black professionals in student affairs, they're talking about knowing your worth, right? And negotiate that salary, period. If they don't want to negotiate salary, they're not willing for that conversation, then that's not the position or the job for you. And I think, for me, that's kind of like a little scary thing. But then after that meeting, I left. I said, "Well, look at my experience. I ain't new to this. I'm kind of true to it. So I'm kind of coming in with confidence that I might not have years and all like super long years of experience, but I got 5+, 7+ years of experience, and it continues to build. So I agree. We're worth it. Add some tax on it."
One other thing I want to say, I mean, is this going to be shared with anybody else? Just like students, right?
Yeah, students.
Okay. So one thing I like to go by a lot, because again, going back to research, they have made, research studies that like mediocre white men will apply to any job regardless of the credentials they have. So it's not to try to be like mediocre white men, but it's to have the confidence they have. Because women of color, just women, people of color in general, will read and read and read over that job description and make sure they like fulfill everything. You don't have to fulfill everything in the job description, because they should be able to also teach you something. Because if you can do everything, then what's going to be the growth for you? So having that confidence, but also creating these communities amongst other people, that's going to be the key for you, because you need people to, hype you up through this process.
Definitely. Oh, no, for sure. And no, you're just stating facts. Hello. Very true. And yeah, and then I also listed some education related employment websites. I think about, Anna, what you said earlier, like, while I am in the job search process, while you're in the job search process, you were thinking about, staying at Richmond Promise and what you did for a little bit, or think about even working at a coffee shop. And so it's okay if you have to take a temporary job to get to where you're trying to go. And I think, if you're looking into education, all these websites here, Inside Higher Ed Careers, higheredjobs.com, Cal Nonprofits, so many different jobs and websites to kind of help you navigate your job search or a job search just for temporarily.
And then one last thing I want to add, I will provide the link in the chat, but if any of you are not part of it, but want to be part of the Bay Area CSN or the College Success Network, is for folks who are doing college access and college success in the Bay, amongst the Bay Area. A lot of people will post different job postings there. It's really helpful. You should sign up for it. I'm definitely giving a self promo because I'm part of the committee. So if you have any questions about the CSN,
All right, girl.
also let me know. Yeah, I'm part of the
Drop it.
committee, and we're actually doing right now some pods where we have put together people from different job positions who have signed up for it, and they're actually having meetings amongst each other, because sometimes it can feel a little bit alone, or you know, when you work with the same people, it's nice to have like a fresh pair of eyes and then just kind of be able to share your experience and stuff. So definitely a little self promo right there. But lots of job postings are posted literally on the daily basis.
Oh no, that's great. Awesome. And then, you know, finally a little bit about like, you know, self-care. Like we mentioned earlier, like burnout is real. You know, we gotta recognize when you know you're doing too much and then make adjustments. And as a new grad and professional, there's a desire to prove yourself, but don't compromise your mental health and your well-being, trying to get a job, trying to get the, you know, trying to do all this for a job search process. And I think, you know, I have told myself kind of this before when I was struggling, trying to look for a job, even a couple years ago, trying to get into the community college district at Contra Costa College. And I think it's important to really take care of yourself as we are navigating from graduate students to professionals. And yeah, it just, you know, self-care is important. That's all I can say. So yeah, so that's an overall conclusion of this workshop. I really just wanted to kind of provide some tips and have a guest, a wonderful special guest, really give some great insight and advice into the job search process, navigating life after graduate school. And of course, Anna, if you have a LinkedIn profile, I don't know if you can put that in the chat so folks can.
I do. I can definitely put my LinkedIn on here.
Perfect.
One last thing I also wanted to mention, as you're all going into the job search process, one thing that was taught to me when I was in undergrad, because I was taking this one seminar, is to have like a spreadsheet. So you are organized as to where you're applying. So in that situation, I put like the job title, where it was located, like any information that I thought was needed. And then I put another column for the people that are going to be my recommenders for that job. So you're asking them in advance. And then it's also very important that you either screenshot or save the PDF of the jobs you've applied to. Because once that job is no longer posted, you won't be able to look at it again. And you may or may not be able to prepare as well for your interview. So that's definitely something that's really important to do. And I'll post it on my LinkedIn.
Perfect. Great advice. Love it. I'm gonna stop recording.
And I can also post my email. It's my work email. Feel free to reach out if y'all have any questions or need support or anything. I'm definitely here to support folks.
Excellent. Well, I would say thank you all for attending this workshop. I know a lot of folks weren't able to make it. However, we have the recording, so that's awesome. And of course, if Lydia or Cheyenne, if you guys have any questions or want to reach out to Anna or me, feel free. I have to say, I know a little bit about nonprofit work. Hey, I'm getting there. Now, you know, working at Richmond Promise with them in partnership at a community college, along with being on a board for a nonprofit, Youth Finances of America. I think I have learned so much about nonprofit and kind of the connection of nonprofit work and higher ed and different things like that. So if you have any questions, you know, feel free to reach out to us. But definitely reach out to Anna. She's, you know, look, she knows what she's doing.
Remember, you're not alone. I know it can feel very lonely. I don't know if y'all are first-gen students. It can also be hard to ask for help. But one thing I have all the sayings today. Sorry, y'all. Another one,
you coming in hot.
It's you know, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you never say anything, no one's gonna help you, right? And getting those whether they're informational interviews, whether that's with the professors you're working with, if you want to get an internship and help them with, it's just talking to them, right? And they will come in for you if you build those really great relationships. And I think that's what LinkedIn is also all about.
Yep.
Connecting with folks and maybe just like, hey, I'm interested in the kind of job you do. Like, do you have some time to briefly chat? It's not like I'm trying to get a job from you. I'm just trying to get a little bit of insight as to what it is. And some people will think of you if a job opening that is within your range opens up. Right. So again, networking is great. And we have to do this for ourselves because no one's going to do it, but you're not alone.
That's right. I love that. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and thank y'all so much for attending. And yeah, that is the end of our session.
Thank you. That was really great.